Alright, so this is my complaint against Birmingham Radiological Group and their doctors, Julian Patrick Druhan, Angus, Baird, and Donald Shane Kelly, MD. And I filed this complaint with the Better Business Bureau, BBB. And I've given the introduction. This is part 3. I've given my complaint, the text, and I've read the response from Birmingham Radiological Group and their representative, Shannon Sykes. And I'll read my response, and then I'll give my analysis of this thing following this. I rebutted the business response of Birmingham Radiological Group. Alright, so I didn't accept what was written here, and I wrote this. The respondent to my complaint, Shannon Sykes of Birmingham Radiological Group, possesses no medical qualifications or certifications and is therefore not qualified to substantiate or refute medical claims. Okay, so full stop. She can't comment on medical issues because she's not a doctor or a nurse. And in the state of Alabama, there's some laws against practicing medicine without a license. Okay, now on the other hand, I'm a patient and I have this injury, and I can comment about my treatment and my injury. Being that she represents an organization composed of many well-experienced and highly compensated specialist medical doctors, there is no doubt that a high-ranking medical doctor of Birmingham Radiological Group with such qualifications did sign off on her statement before it went public, and probably legal counsel as well. Alright, Birmingham Radiological Group, if you look up on the internet, you'll see where they make between $5, $10, $20 million revenue annually. Alright, so what medical doctor signed off on her statement and what legal counsel? And this is a very important question. Because, Shannon Sykes, they put her out there in the public. She has no qualifications medically, and she issues these response. She's there to take the heat. Okay, she takes the heat, and she is the conduit through which these millionaire doctors and radiologists, they hide behind her. Okay, and they use her as a pawn in their game. Okay, and their names, they don't sign off on this stuff. Their names are secret. They're hidden. All right. There's probably no doctor on planet Earth, radiologist or otherwise, who could look at these images, look at the statements of the doctors, and put their name to this stuff, because it's classic misdiagnosis. And then the major problem with this is when you take into account multiple misdiagnosis over time, and you have another doctor of this organization who is also involved in misdiagnosis, you have to entertain the possibility of corruption or some kind of wider-ranging conspiracy. All right. They have close to 40 radiologists in their group. I doubt there's any radiologist who is a member of Birmingham Radiological Group who will sign off on her statement. The position that Shannon Sykes advances here, this is indefensible. All right, my skull was broken. It's not my opinion. It was broken, and that's why I put up the pictures. You don't have to believe me. Look at the pictures. Okay, you can see the crack in the bone of my skull. All right, so I'll keep reading this. As the patient with the injury that was 100% misdiagnosed, I am more qualified than Shannon Sykes of BRG to speak on my injury. And her response should tell any patient what this group and their members really think about the patients in their care. They will back their business associates and try to defend clear examples of medical misdiagnosis when confronted or cornered, versus admitting their 3 doctors were wrong. They got caught. I simply refer any interested party to the original X-ray, CT scans, and MRI images. And then for your convenience, you can see them here on the screen now. As I'm reading this, look at these pictures. These are my pictures. And look at the yellow circle. Inside the yellow circle, you will see the injury that these doctors and Birmingham Radiological Group says is not there. They're hiding something, okay? They're wrong. Yeah, and I mentioned this. Why do these doctors go by different names, that's pseudonyms, on the BRG website, then appear on their state-issued Alabama medical licenses or in the official medical records, all right? Yeah, and there might be some interesting reasons for this, all right? The cracks and broken bone in the basilar area of my skull are clearly visible, contrary to the signed medical diagnosis of these three doctors who said no injury was present in the same images. They are liable. Because I was misdiagnosed, the injury went unmanaged for about a year and became complicated, affected over time. Doctors and nurses did note in the records the growing side effects of the original misdiagnosed head trauma, and that's the proof of the initial injury. All right, and these side effects are proof that I was misdiagnosed and concurrent with a broken skull issue, which runs contrary to the BRG radiologist pronouncements that I had no injury. You can also see the documentation of these proofs in their own scan records I made public on my YouTube channel. I never made any claim that I could interpret X-ray, CT scans, and MRIs without training, and could do so better than trained radiologists. As a patient, I simply am asserting that I believe my skull was broken. The BRG doctor said no injury was present in the images. I went and got my records, including the images, and exactly in the area where I've had the pain that's been so bad that I have been to many emergency room visits, there happens to appear broken bone, contrary to the radiologist's pronouncements. This group has been aware of my situation for over a year, she admits. I contacted Birmingham Radiological Group and they never replied or called me. Why? And the fact that I was not contacted confirms that they have no defense to my claims. If so, any third-party qualified professional from their group could put up their credentials and a signature and easily refute my statements, but they can't because I'm telling the truth. They will only rehash the incorrect statements of others to avoid liability. Further, how any concerned party can verify that I am correct by asserting I was misdiagnosed is the fact that I've been vocal about publicly documenting my case for almost a year and a half, and I have not been sued or arrested. Because if I was incorrect, what I would be doing is against many laws, civil and criminal. They don't want it made public. Alright, so the next day, on the 27th, I got this reply, and they rebutted my reply. I stand behind my original statement, in particular the findings of the Alabama Board of Medical Examiners. Okay, so that's a very poor rebuttal. Basically what Birmingham Radiological Group has done is they've forfeited their chance to respond to my claims and the truth in the context of the Better Business Bureau forum. And the Alabama Board of Medical Examiners, their findings, it proves absolutely nothing. I spent several days writing these complaints, several pieces of paper. It took several months to complete, and what they did was they dismissed all 11 of the doctor's complaints, and they sent me their reply on one sheet of paper. And I have no evidence that they even looked at any of these cases in depth. Yeah, and I mean, what that proves is they didn't look at the evidence, because either that or they did look at the evidence and they decided to ignore my complaints. Yeah, it just shows their ineptitude, their negligence. Because all they have to do is, I believe the Alabama Board of Medical Examiners, they have access to doctors with specialties in radiology, and all they have to do is look at my pictures, and if they knew what they were looking at, the case would be open and shut. So I mean, it really proves nothing. The evidence that I present, it doesn't change, okay? And what happens is I put the evidence before another a party of some kind of experience or authority. And what is shown in these various judgments, it's something about them. It's nothing about me, and it's nothing about the original imagery in the misdiagnosis.